Hey everybody, this is Structure Steve again, and in this video I'm going to show you some examples of some custom parametric cells that we can do inside of OpenBridge Modeler. So when it comes to OpenBridge Modeler, there's just some things in there that the default tools aren't going to be able to handle. And a good example of that is going to be endbents or abutments in different states. Endbents vary from state to state, and the requirements vary quite a bit, and they're very customized from state to state. So this particular case here in Florida, based on the skew angle of this particular bridge, and depending on whether the right side over here or left side over here has a MSE wall that goes straight across, like on this left side here, or if it's a wraparound MSE wall, or even if there's wing walls over here, right? All these different types of cases can change the geometry of our end bend here. So an example of what OBM can't handle would be these kinks over here. So we have to turn this at a certain spot over here to make it align with the barrier wall. And same thing on this other side here. We have to kind of turn this, make it perpendicular to the coping or the barrier wall here. And these are going to be some things that OBM just can't do. So that's where parametric cells come into play. With parametric cells, there's really no limit to what we can do. And I'm going to show you real quick here just kind of how we accomplish this and set up some different variables and scenarios in accomplishing what we need here for this kind of geometry. So here's one that I have built and has all kinds of variables in here that are tied to all the parameters of this abutment here. And it gives me full control over everything I need. So this is obviously a plan view here and an elevation view here. So if I wanted to change the skew angle, right, that's when we see those kinks over here. So if I change the skew angle to something else, we'll change it to something like 10 degrees here. And let's see how this parametric cell automatically adjusts and creates those kinks in the ends there to turn those ends of the abutment perpendicular to the coping or parallel to the coping. So right here we can see how that did that, right? It's going to be adjusting things on the end, these distances here, based on the conditions, and a good example of that would be, is this a wraparound MSE wall, or is it an MSE wall that goes straight across? Because those two things change this end geometry here. So if I were to change this left side to a straight across MSE wall, so I have a variable here that is basically asking a question: is the left side a wraparound MSE wall? Right now it's set to true, but if I set that to false, and that means it's going to be just an MSE wall that goes straight across here, watch how it changes that geometry of this abutment here automatically. There you go, that's exactly what we need, right? That's going to be what it's going to look like for an MSE wall that goes straight across here. All these variables, all these dimensions and distances here are all tied to these parameters over here and calculate automatically. If we want to change the slope of the back wall here, right, we can do that. So let's go down here, let's change that. I have an independent left and right side here, so let's change this to 2%. And then we'll do the other side as -2. Here you can see that back wall adjust down here, and I can adjust the heights of the the cheek walls and the cap and everything, thicknesses and all this stuff. So again, fully parametric, fully customizable. You build it one time and get to reuse it on every job moving forward. And there's only so many scenarios we have to account for here. So the nice thing about this is we can build this all into a parametric cell, and they can conform to any standards that we need depending on owner requirements in different states and things like that. And I'll just rotate this. I'll maximize this other window up here, and then I'll rotate it around to kind of see what it looks like in 3D. Right, so it's exactly what we need. All right, all the end treatments, right, on this kink over here, and on this side here, exactly per the parameters that we specified in our parametric cell here. And if we want to take a look at a little more rendered view here, we can do that in this illustration or lighting view. Now take a look at another example I did for a pretty complex pier that had some varying radii and different rustication details and things like that. So go ahead and open that one up real quick here. So here we go, we got this one open now. Let's take a look at it from a front view and kind of show you what I was talking about in the sense of some pretty good customizations here. Now we have these rustication details here, which these are actually insets in the column, right? Some like form liners. We can take a look at that with some rendered views here. We'll zoom in here. So those are actually little blockouts or form liners, they call them, in the columns here. So this is pretty customized here. This isn't something you're going to get in the out of the box OBM here. Got a nice fillet here that we can customize ourselves, which whatever radius we want. We control the radii of all these different form liners here and all that. So let's go back to wireframe real quick and just kind of show what we can do with this guy here. So I'm going to pop open my constraints again real quick. And let's take a look at some of these variables that we can adjust here. So we'll start off with something easy, something like the width of this thing. So let's just change that to, let's say 60 feet. And there we go, we can see that cap width adjusted there. So I'll just undo that real quick again. Alright, so now let's say we want to adjust the radius of this cap piece here. We can go and do that right here. And actually in my case here, I had tied that radius to the width of the column, so that way the radius goes perfectly into the edge of this column, wherever the width of this column is. So if I wanted to adjust that column width, then that would in turn adjust this radius here. So let's go take a look at that. Column width bottom, we can change this to say 14 feet. And then watch how that radius adjusts with the column. And there we go, we saw that column got adjusted out 14 feet. We can go ahead and measure that. And it is indeed 14 feet. And then the radius followed right along with that column with adjustment there. And one last thing I'll show you real quick is, say we wanted to adjust even the radii of this, right? That is something we can do here. That's something I programmed into here. So that's going to be the radius here, this radius 1. So I adjust this. Let's just say let's bump that down, turn it down to like say 30. And we should see this guy kind of tighten out and scoot over to the left here. And there you go, we saw how those rustication details now with 30-foot radius, bringing them further out here. It's still lined up with everything on top here. So again, these parametric cells are extremely customizable. We can really do anything we want to and just create any kind of geometry we could possibly need to.